With the addition of the Proto-08, the game now has 4 Porsches, all with distinct attributes and stats. But how do they all compare against each other, and which Porsche is truly the best? Today I'm going to rank all 4 Porsches by putting them through a few categories. I'm going to compare them in 5 different categories: their top speed, their acceleration, their looks, customization, and flex value, as well as a couple other miscellaneous things. The vehicle best at each category will get 4 points, while the vehicle worst at each category will get 1 point. At the end, I'll add up all the points, and the vehicle with the most points wins. Without further ado, let's just get started. So first, let's talk about the top speed of the 4 vehicles. In last place is the Boxer. It can go to around 150 miles per hour, which definitely isn't bad, especially since it's an escape vehicle, but it is the weakest out of the 4 vehicles here, so it only gets 1 point. Next is the Posh. This vehicle has a really solid top speed of around 167 to 170 miles per hour. Definitely a really decent top speed. In second place, we have the Icebreaker. I've been able to get this vehicle to around 200 miles per hour max, and that seems to be the standard top speed for it. However, the best without question is the Proto-08. It is able to go to 212 miles per hour, and I consistently get it over 200 miles per hour. Next, let's talk acceleration. To test this, I simply drove the vehicles from one end of the airport runway down to the other. So in last place, we have the Boxer, which reached the end in 6 seconds and 42 milliseconds. Porsche reached the end in 6 seconds and 32 milliseconds. Then we have the Icebreaker. It reached the end in 5 seconds and 23 milliseconds. In first place, we have the Proto, which reached the end in 4 seconds and 63 milliseconds. Now I'm going to talk about the looks of the vehicles. In last place with 1 point in this category is definitely the Posh. Honestly, I think it doesn't look that bad, but compared to the other Porsches, it's very easily the weakest one. It's not modeled particularly well. In fact, the interior is just a black block. It seems to be an amalgamation of different Porsches, which is honestly a pretty interesting idea, but it means this vehicle doesn't look that distinct. And we have the Boxer. Design-wise, it's definitely a big upgrade over the Posh, but I still don't think it looks all that great, since this was one of the earlier vehicles with a detailed interior. I don't think it really looks that great, especially compared to the IRL counterpart, the Porsche Boxster 718, which has a bit more detail. In particular, I don't think it really captures the iconic Porsche shape near the front and the headlights. In second place, in my opinion, is the Icebreaker. It's pretty faithful to the IRL counterpart, and it looks pretty cool, but I still feel like it's a little bit basic. But in my opinion, the Proto-08 is the best looking of the Porsches. I mean, it's a race car, so to me that's already going to give it a little bit of a boost. But I also think it's probably the best modeled. Speed Queen did an awesome job, and it has a lot of really cool details. I like how the headlights have a lot of neat touches. And the interior definitely isn't bad. So yeah, I definitely say it's the best looking out of the 4. Next, let's talk about customization. I think the worst one in this regard is definitely the Posh. I'm happy it allows for a spoiler, but obviously since it doesn't really have an interior, you can't customize that, and it only allows for one texture, so I gotta hold it back. Then we have the Boxer. Now, of course, this one allows for interior customization. My big problem with the Boxer customization is that you can't change the color of the roof, which you can toggle on and off. The black just doesn't look good with a lot of my customizations, so that's a strike against it here. And second, we have the Proto-08. This vehicle allows for a second texture and a second body color, so someone with more artistic flair than me could make a really good customization here. And of course, it also allows for the standard interior customization. It honestly looks pretty good here. However, the 2 strikes against the customization here are, number 1, you can't add a spoiler onto it. I mean, I could see where this vehicle could support custom spoilers, and maybe this spoiler over here could be a special one added in the garage. But to be honest, I don't really think they needed to make that a thing, and I'm fine with the way the spoiler is right now. However, the second problem I have with it is the black part across the windows and the spoiler, stuff like that. That just means that this car won't look that good with some customizations, so that's another thing I gotta hold against it. However, I still think the customization potential is really good on this car. I think the best car in this category is the Icebreaker because there's not really anything egregious that makes some customizations look bad. There's a little bit of black, but honestly it's not that noticeable, and of course it allows for spoilers, so I'm rating it the highest because I think it's the least limiting and allows you to do the most stuff. Next, let's talk about flex value. Basically, I'm taking into account how rare this car is and how desirable other players in the game may find it. And last is definitely the Boxer. It's available for purchase right now, and it probably will be for the foreseeable future. So simply put, people aren't really going to care if they see one. It's not really anything flex worthy, and people probably are not going to try to trade for it. Up next, the Posh. It does have a little bit of flex value because it's an OG vehicle and it was retired quite a while ago. However, it was really cheap and many people were able to earn it, so I doubt it's really worth much. In second, the Proto-08. It's hard to tell how valuable this car will be since the season isn't over yet, but I think enough people have obtained it to where it'll be somewhat sought after, but it won't be that rare or that interesting to spot. But I think the Icebreaker definitely takes the cake when it comes to flex value. Since season 7 was more difficult than normal, fewer people were able to complete it, and the Icebreaker wasn't exactly the most exciting season prize, so not many people were motivated to complete season 7 anyways. Therefore, the Icebreaker is actually a pretty rare vehicle, and as far as I'm aware, it does hold quite a bit of value in trading. If you see a Icebreaker in game, it's definitely a notable sight, so in my opinion, it has the most flex value. Now, real quick, I want to touch on some more miscellaneous stuff that I don't feel is worthy of its own category. First off, I'm taking a point from the Proto-08. I really think it should have a unique engine sound, and the typical Roadster engine sound really doesn't fit in this case. It's excusable with the other three here in my opinion, but for such a cool vehicle, I wish it had a better sound. I'm taking away another Proto point since it potholes and flips pretty frequently. I'm giving a pity point to the Posh and the Boxer each because they both have helped me immensely with the museum, and they are very trusty escape vehicles. Lastly, the Icebreaker gets an extra point due to its increased seating capacity. Also, not giving it a point for this, but I do like that it has rear view mirrors. I think that's pretty nice. With all that being said, let's tally up all the points and rank the cars. In last place with 8 points is the Boxer. While it is a trustworthy escape vehicle, it doesn't look particularly great, and the stats are the worst out of the 4 vehicles. Up next is the Posh. This vehicle got improved significantly by a recent buff, and now it's actually a really solid car in terms of stats. It definitely deserves those 9 points. Then with 16 points we have the Proto-08. Easily the best in terms of stats, and it looks absolutely phenomenal. However, it is limited a little bit in customization. To be honest, the potholing thing was so frustrating that it holds this vehicle back for me. But my favorite Porsche is the Icebreaker. It's a very reliable vehicle. To me, it's like a Roadster with more seats. It has really good stats, it looks pretty good, and it doesn't have any major flaws like potholing or anything like that. So this is my favorite Porsche. One thing you guys got to keep in mind with this ranking is that it's absolutely not objective. You're totally free to disagree with me. I'm sure many people have different rating criterias or value different things. I'm mainly explaining how I choose to rank vehicles and how I make up my mind about them. It's totally cool to disagree. In fact, I want you to let me know what your ranking will be of the vehicles down below in the comments. Also want to give a quick thank you to my friend Ducky for letting me borrow his Proto-08. I'm not level 10 yet, and I wanted to get this video out by this weekend, so really appreciate him doing that. Like and subscribe, I guess, if you want to. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night.